Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be going over how I made this closed glass tile ecosystem. So this is usually a tile that they would use in a bathroom, and I found it at Goodwill. It looked like it had been repurposed, and I decided to make a closed ecosystem out of it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and without further ado, let's get into it. So the actual first step of this build is going to be collecting all of the moss. So basically I went to a park near my house and I've just been walking around looking for any patches of moss that I can take home and then sanitize to use in all of my builds. This is also a location I have herped quite a few times. And, you know, usually I don't actually come up with much here, but it's still beautiful to walk around. There's so much wildlife in the birds and mammals. But basically, I'm also looking for some plants like this one. This is actually ivy, so it is not meant to be here in Oregon. It's an invasive plant, and it's been taking over a ton of Oregon space where native plants could grow. So I'm actually going to be taking this and using it in some of my builds at home. It takes a little bit of hunting, but you can find a lot of really pretty moss. Like I see these right down here, looks beautiful. It's almost like a pillow moss. I'm definitely going to be harvesting some of this. All right, just got home from finding all these mosses. I got 4 different varieties of moss today, and the texture will help the tank really bring it to the next level. I picked up a lot more of this ivy. I also have the bag that I picked up, and I picked up some sticks for the foreground, make it look good, give it some climbing spaces for the eventual animal or animals that I could keep in here, really invertebrates mainly. And then I also got this plant here. So this is a polka dot plant. It is actually a Photonia, and Photonias work really well, I've found, in very moist environments and even damp, wet environments, marshlands. This thing has been growing amazing. There's a Photonia there that's actually started flowering. And then in this tank that gets misted every 8 hours, I have a ton of Photonias on the floor. These guys do amazing, and that's also why I feel like they're going to do great in this tank here. So I picked this up at Goodwill recently, and I thought it was awesome. Basically, all it is one of those glass walls that they used to use in bathrooms, and it looks like they repurposed it and made this little lid for it so maybe you can store something in it. And I thought this was so cool, so I'm gonna make it into a tiny terrarium today. And then I'm also gonna be making a video about this one here. I'm gonna be redoing that, and I'm also gonna be redoing that one. So here is actually gonna be the first step of what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making the drainage layer real quick and showing you what I use. So this is just a little bit of weed fabric. This is used in a garden to stop weeds from growing up into your soil. And this is a bag of rocks, a bag of pebbles that I just collected from my backyard. And that's all I'm going to be using for my drainage layer. I'll just put the pebbles down first, put the weed fabric on top of it, and then have my substrate over that. You always have to make sure to wash any of the plants that you're using and get any of the little white particles out. After that last step that you just saw in the sped up, I decided to add some more depth to this tank. So what I did was I grabbed the bark that I picked up at the park and sanitized, and I actually used some of this super glue here to get it all on the back and really bring the escape to the next level and bring some more depth forward. Another thing I almost forgot to mention to be able to keep this tank sustainable is you need a cleanup crew. So in this bucket here, I have a ton of springtails. And in this tub here, I have a lot of isopods and a couple cedar beetles. So I'm just going to be putting them into the jar, and that is going to make it a bioactive. And with these springtails going in, this completely means this is a bioactive system. And it is ready for whatever creature I decide to put in it. You can see a isopod crawling away there, and all the isopods there on the back of the moss are gonna start getting their footing and reproducing, and that's gonna eat all the moss, and the isopods are actually gonna eat all of the waste of anything that I decide to put in here. And so with all of that, this is the finished build. I had a lot of fun making this, and in the sped up clip, all I did was I put my drainage layer down, I put my substrate layer down, and then I just put the mosses and my plants in wherever I felt like it. I didn't have a plan for this tank. I just went in thinking something in my mind of what it would look like and hoping it looked good, and this is the result. I made this video to show you can kind of do this with any amount of money. I only spent $10 on this tank, $5 on the tile that I found at Goodwill, and then $5 on the Photonia. Everything else in this build I already had, and it's ready to be a closed ecosystem. I'm going to be making another video like this of another closed ecosystem I'm going to make, and yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy that one too. Lastly, if you guys have any suggestions of something I could put in this tank, just write it down in the comments below. I will make sure to read every comment. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.